Howdy! How's everybody out there in YouTube land today? I hope this finds you well. Time for another exciting episode, and that's why I'm still single. Now, this is not just limited to to the dates and things that I've had. This is just about fellas in general and stuff that they do that I just cannot comprehend why people do the things they do. But it keeps me single of them doing them. Now, this happened when I was married with a fella that was an acquaintance of my husband and I. My husband had tickets to go to a baseball game one night, and we was out on the farm. I was out in the barn doing barn work, feeding the critters and cleaning cages and stuff, and somebody pulls in. I step out the barn to see who it is, and it's this acquaintance of ours, and he says, "Hi, your husband told me that he had that dumb terminal in there in the house there, and he couldn't figure out how he's supposed to get that hooked up to work the radio stuff." Now, I was pretty computer illiterate, basically. I could do some word processing. I had my own computer for doing that sort of thing. But my husband had gotten this dumb terminal to do some radio work with for Packet. And if any of you are into ham radio, you know what I'm talking about there. And I didn't know anything, dumb terminal, smart terminal, nothing, about any of that. And about this Packet radio stuff, I didn't know nothing about that. I knew how to work, the repeater stuff and the 10-meter stuff and that, but I wasn't into the Packet stuff, so I didn't know. And he says, I wanted to get that hooked up for him so that he can get that going. Well, I didn't know from Adam, and I had work to do at the barn, and I said, well, it's in there in the living room. You can go ahead. And so I went ahead. I was out in the barn for about an hour finishing up my work, and I go up to the house, and the first thing I noticed right off the bat is that he has a cable strung across the living room from one side of the living room where my computer was, clear across the living room, looked like a clothesline over this dumb terminal on my husband's desk on the other side of the room. My computer had nothing to do with what my husband was doing with the ham radio stuff at all, ever. Was never to have anything to do with that. It was my computer to do my stuff on. And I'm like, what in the world is going on? And I said, why do you have my computer hooked up to that thing? And he says, well, I needed to get some information there for this dumb terminal. And I said, no, you don't use my computer to do that. No, my computer is not to be touched by anybody. I said, so get that cord off of it right now. I want that cable unhooked. Not using my computer for anything for that, under any circumstances. Well, he unhooks the cable. I get him out of my house. Now I'm ticked. And when I go over to my computer, he had wiped out every file that I had on my computer. I had all my animal pedigrees, everything in there. He had destroyed it all. Well, my husband finally comes home from the ball game. I met him at the door, and I was angry. And I said, why did you tell him to come over here messing with my computer? He says, what? Whoa, wait a minute. He says, first off, I didn't ask him to come over here. I have no idea what he was doing here. So I tell him, what took place. And he says, well, okay. He knew I was going to the ball game, so he used this as an opportunity to come over here and screw with this. He wasn't invited. I said, well, come on in here, honey, and take a look at my computer. And I showed him. All my files are gone. My stuff's gone. So my husband was up the rest of the night getting my files back. However it was that he needed to do it. Whether he had to go into the motherboard or what he had to do, because there was no backup on it. But he managed to retrieve my files and stuff for me. Of course, there was no way to set up the dumb terminal. This guy that had come in there nosing around had no idea what he was messing with that dumb terminal anyway. Somebody getting involved in something they knew entirely nothing about and messing up all the stuff on your computer. We never let that happen again. But that's why I'm still single.